strange because talking about Jesus and how you meet him is just a bit strange, because if I was to talk to you about any other friend, I wouldn't necessarily tell you how I met them. So I want to tell you, a little bit about myself, because the testimony would be boring without all that. But I also want the focus to be on Jesus and what he does. So I'm going to first start telling you about what I'm not going to tell you about. So I'm not going to tell you about my poor upbringing, my mum's mental health problems, being in foster care, being dragged around lots of different churches of different faiths as well, including our friends down the road. I'm not going to tell you about going to 4 different primary schools or 3 different secondary schools, that no one believed in me. My teachers didn't believe in me. My own mother didn't believe in me. I'm not going to tell you about not having a dad. And even just 2 weeks ago, walking past him in Tesco with his grandson, and he doesn't even recognise me. So I'm not going to tell you about leaving school with no qualifications at all. Literally not even, sitting the exams. So at 18, I was in a pretty rough place. I was working, and yeah, life wasn't particularly great. But then, I'm not going to tell you about supporting myself through college, having 2 different jobs to do so when I was only 19 years old and living on my own. I'm not going to tell you about smashing my course and getting into university and getting a 2-1 honours in criminology and psychology. I'm not going to tell you about building a successful business, and I'm not going to tell you about building a house. I'm not going to tell you about standing for local county council several times, and I'm not going to tell you about winning a very prestigious award handed to me in the House of Commons, where I was voted one of the most successful people in England. Okay? That was all very good, and it was great, but I didn't know Jesus. So I'm not going to tell you about my partner cheating on me losing my house, losing my business because my business partner saw that I was weak, and literally having nothing but the clothes on my back. Okay? I'm not going to tell you about that. I'm not going to tell you about meeting Natty. I'm not going to tell you about asking her dad to date his daughter, because there was 9 years between us. And I'm definitely not going to tell you about him threatening to chuck me off the Severn Bridge if I upset her. Okay? And I'm not going to tell you about me finding God. Okay? What I want to tell you is 2 stories, because meeting somebody, I've never really, I'm going to hold my hand up, and I've never really met with Jesus. Okay? I'm a Christian, and that, there's no doubt about that. But the thing is with meeting someone is there has to be a point where you meet. And that's never happened because Jesus has always been there. Okay? So we've never not been apart to then re-meet. So I want to tell you 2 stories, and they're stories which are just absolutely amazing, and there's no doubt about it being God in these. The first story, and Matty might be worried about these, but these are already in the public domain, okay? My first story is about my friend Chris. He's 65. He was given 5 years to live about 20 years ago, and he's really close to me. He's a friend I met at my last church. And a few years back, I think it was about 2019, Chris died, okay? He was down in Yorkley at Men's Shed, and he's got heart condition, and he was eating his lunch on his own, and he slumped forward off his chair, and he was gone. Somebody found him, started giving him CPR, okay? Now, I don't know if many of you know the stats on CPR. There's like a 3% chance you come back from CPR, and it's like 10 minutes maximum. He was down for 40 minutes, okay, before the paramedics got to him. He got shocked 3 times, okay, and they restarted his heart. He went down to Bristol. He wasn't even airlifted there, okay, so that says something about his condition, and they didn't think there was a lot of hope, okay, for Chris. And he was in a coma, sorry. He was in a coma for 3 days, and, he was gone. But Chris is still with us. He's fine. That's just absolutely, I'm blown away by it every single day that Chris is still with us. And 40 to 45 minutes of CPR, there's 2 people who gave it him. Nobody comes back from that. No one comes back from that. And it just shows that God was with him. Okay. The second story I want to tell you is of our friends. We're part of 3 couples. We've known them for years. We're all about the same age. Our one set of friends, Paige and Luke, they decided to have a child. Fell pregnant very easily. Sort of perked our ears up, and we thought, well, okay, there's never a perfect time. We're going to try as well. Our other set of friends then came out and they said, well, we've been trying for years and it's just not happened, and we're having problems. And it was really heavy at that time because obviously we wanted to have a kid, and we decided that we're not going to let this drag us down. It's not our cross to bear, so we are going to sort of carry on. We're going to have a child. And the day Natty fell pregnant, got that pregnancy test, we messaged our friends and we said, we want to share this journey with you, in the good and the bad. Natty's pregnant. And they were, of course, over the moon. But bless her, our friend who had been on medication for 5 months said, it's really tough for me because I've just found out that I'm not, again, for the 5th month after 2-3 years of trying. Now, there's a WhatsApp message, and there's no denying this WhatsApp message is there. It's still there now, of our friend, and bless him. If he prays, you want to be scared, because what he prays seems to happen, okay? And it's absolutely tremendous. And he prayed on WhatsApp, and he said, Lord, I want Rosie to be pregnant by the end of this year, okay? I want her to be pregnant by the end of this year. And me and Nat were there, and we even had the discussion. We were like, that's so inappropriate because Rosie may never have a baby, okay? She may never be able to conceive, all right? So, and this is she wanted this baby so desperately. But we have little faith, okay? Because we're sat there, Natty heavily pregnant, Paige has had Joshy by this point. We're sat there, 8 o'clock. Guess what day? New Year's Eve, okay? And a WhatsApp message comes through, and it says, guys, I've just found out I'm pregnant. And that's all on WhatsApp. There's no denying that happened. There's no denying our friend had prayed that by the end of that year, Rosie would be pregnant. And God provided, and God said yes. And they're the 2 stories that I live by. They're absolutely amazing. There's no doubting at all that God is with us and God is for us. And even though I've never met with God, the reason for that is because he's always been there. Thank you.